What's up, y'all? Inside back with some more information. Peace to the ones that are aware and do what they are doing right now from a spiritual aspect. Today, I'm gonna be talking a little bit about the English language, right? Or English, what you would say. Right now, a lot of us we're unaware of what the English language really is. The English language came from England, right? England is a foreign country. England is not America, right? So if England comes from a foreign country and it's not American, then why the fuck is we speaking English? The reason why we speak in English is because the colonizers brought that shit over here, incorporated it into their books, their Bibles, right? In some occasions. Most of the shit that we say today, we never used to say this before. We never talked this way, right? The shit never existed, right? So now we get ourselves tongue twisted with these certain words because we so used to saying them. So we can't really exit these words out of our minds because we've been saying it for so long. We've heard our mamas and our daddies, our uncles, our aunties, our grandparents saying these words, right? So we can't get this shit out of our head. But a lot of these words are not our original words. This is why you have to realize and understand the words that you say all came from a certain doctrine. It came from something. You don't realize it nor you put your attention to it because you don't feel like it matters. But you have to know where shit originated from before you say something. Right? You have to know where a word came from before you use it. You have to be very, very, very careful of the words you say. Because the words you say all concocts up an energy. It concocts up something. Right? And it can become an action. Right? So back then, in ancient times, we spoke the language of the universe or the language of the ethers, whatever you want to call it. This is the language we spoke. Peace, God, and all that, and Ashe, and words like that. That's the words we used to use. It wasn't no hi or what's up. Well, you could say, well, no, not even really what's up. You know, that came later on. But saying words like gang and all, we didn't say shit like that. It was peace, God, all that, words like that. It was high vibrational words, high vibrational energies that was concocted into our words that we was using. That's how we used to speak amongst each other. Right, but now you got shit out here now. Niggas is, be saying all type of dumb shit and be thinking they saying some shit that's intelligent, but they really saying some dumb shit. Right? Like for instance, like I said, you got these women, these ladies out here calling themselves bad bitches. But what's the opposite of good? Bad. Right? So bad means something that's wrong. Look up the definition of a bitch. A bitch is a dog. And what a dog's good for? A dog only good for shitting and pissing everywhere. A dog ain't good for nothing. So you calling yourself a bad bitch, that means you calling yourself a dog. That means you putting yourself down in your mind because you hear other people say you think it's some normal shit. You start to say, but you really putting yourself down. It's a word you shouldn't use. That's not the words that we used anciently. That came from the colonizers. That's the words they brung over here. We never used those words. Right? So this is why you got to be very intentional and know what you are saying and the words that you are using. You have to know this. Because this shit is very, 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 very important. Right? It's very important. Because if you don't know what you're saying, you could be concocting up a motherfucking a bowl of some bullshit. Right? Within your own mind. Because you're not saying things that even that have any purposeful examples for yourself. You know what I'm saying? So this is why you gotta understand this. Right? Now, I made a video prior to what we discussing on about languages and words. I made a video called I think it was called The Power of the Tongue. I think that's what it was called, The Power of the Tongue. And I talked about how different our people in our community. Talk about the black people. In our community, we all have different ways of how we speak and how we communicate with each other. If you pay attention to our community and how we communicate with each other, we mostly communicate in acronyms. We don't necessarily communicate like how a regular person communicate. Like you see somebody, you be like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" Nah, we be, "What's up, gang?" Right? Gang meaning tribe. So we saying what's up, we acknowledging each other, but we're not saying it in a way that a regular average Joe would say what's up to another person, because we speak morely in acronym. Right? And this is why the public tried to make it like we some dumb motherfuckers and like we don't know how to talk, because we talk in our own understanding. We don't talk in a perfect way. We don't talk perfect. That ain't the shit that we do. That's what the nerds do. That's what the people that you call, that's how they talk perfect. We don't do that. What's up, gang? Oh, what's up, nigga? That's how we identify each other. So we speak more in acronym rather than just speaking the correct way or what they would consider correct. So this is why I'm speaking on the senses of the English language. The English language, they got you speaking, trying to get you to speak correct. We don't do that. We speak tribal language. Right? That's why you got Creole. Right? Geechee. That's why you got different ways of how our people have communicated with each other. Right? Because we got our own shit. Now, I wouldn't call the way we speak a language. That's not a language. It's just the way we speak. Because a lot of us speak as opposed to our environment. So if you're from the South, your language is going to be more connected more with you being in the South. Right? And you can hear that in the tone of the voice of the person. Like you can hear a motherfucker talk for about 5-10 minutes and be like, "Oh yeah, you from the South. Oh yeah, you a Southern girl. Oh yeah, he a Southern boy." Or you can listen to him and go, "Oh yeah, that nigga from Florida." Right? You can hear it in their voice because of the environment. You can listen to the environment that they come from. And understand who they are and what type of culture they come from. Right? This is the real shit. Right? This is the real origin of our people. If you want to talk about language and how we speak, this is the real shit. It ain't no English, none of that, nigga. It's the shit that we do every day. The way we communicate, the acronyms that we use amongst each other, that's how we communicate. That's our real language. Not the bullshit that they try to put on us. Right? And this is where we get caught up at and we get misled. Because we don't remember our original shit. We don't remember it. Right? You ever, had a sister or had a mother that when it's time to pay the bills, they always use their white people voice because they think that's the proper way of talking? See, that's how they want you to think. They want you to think that the way you talk around niggas is the wrong way of talking. Oh, that's ghetto. You don't have any manners. That's not proper. Nah, that's the way we supposed to talk. That's the way we communicate with each other. Because if the language, or not the language, but if the way we talked amongst each other as niggas was wrong, we wouldn't be able to understand each other. Nigga, what are you saying? We wouldn't understand. But since we understand each other from a point of what we come from and our history and our greatness and where we originate from, that's why we can understand each other. Niggas can look at each other and not say nothing and understand each other just off from a head nod, a certain eye blink, a certain way you structure your body and what you're doing. You can just pay attention because this is how we are. This is our culture. You know what I'm saying? And the colonizers, the invaders, they took all that shit away from us. So now they got us thinking that we gotta talk proper, we gotta sound sophisticated, right? We gotta sound eloquent and all this old bullshit so we can be able to, let's say, be great-minded people, educated people, all that old bullshit. But that's all bullshit. That's not our way of how we do our shit. The way we are every day and the acronyms that we use amongst each other is our original shit. That's how we supposed to be. I've been around acronyms and seeing how our people connect with each other since I've been alive. And I use it myself because it's just our culture. Right? It's just what we naturally do. It ain't nothing that's something that can be taught. It's just natural. It's either it's in you or it's not. You gotta come from the culture. Right? So this is why when we talking about tribes and how tribes communicate with each other, this is how we communicate. This is the original way of how we communicate amongst one another. This is the original shit. You know, and like I said, the colonizers, they erase all that shit out of our memory. Now, some of us can come back and remember how to do that shit and remember how it go, but then you got some that don't remember, right? So we get caught up in the system and be like, nah, I ain't gonna use the term that we use as niggas. I'm, sound sophisticated and all of that because we think that's the right way, but that ain't the right way. They call it code switching, right? So when you get around white people, you talk white, but then when you get around niggas, you talk like a nigga. They call it code switching. You see that? They say it's a code, right? But it's only one right code. It's only one right way of speaking, and that's speaking your original shit, that nigga shit. That's the original code. Because talking like a white person ain't talking correct. Because that's not the way you speak. That's not your culture. So they getting us to speak like another culture that's not our culture. And that's why when we hear our people trying to sound white, that's why it don't sound funny or it sounds stupid. Because that's not the way you speak every day. You don't have to sound like them to sound educated. You already educated by the way you speak and how you can use certain words and different abbreviations. You know what I'm saying? So this is the stuff that we don't really pay attention to and we don't study, right? Because we don't take any time out to see what all this shit means and all this shit is about. Right? But it's some shit you need to learn. Right? Because a lot of the words that you use are not the original words of our people. And we shouldn't be using a lot of these words. Because a lot of these words that we using, we thinking that it's uplifting us and it means something good, but it's really weakening our perception of ourselves and the world around us. So these is like bad affirmations. Now, affirmation is to affirm. Confirmation, meaning that this is what you want to happen. This is what you are saying that's going to happen. So that's why I said using the word bad bitch, that's an affirmation. You calling yourself a bad bitch is an affirmation. And that's what you're going to be, a bad bitch. Because this is what you are telling yourself. Now, you can use certain words, English words, and put your own acronym to it, put your own different attention to it. You could do it like that. But that's only if you know how to politic correctly. If you don't know how to politic correctly, then you ain't gonna know how to balance the word out from your own shit, right? That's only if you know how to politic, right? So this is the stuff that we speaking on. When you talk about language and words, you have to know the definition of a word. You have to know it. You have to know what you saying. You have to know what the word means, because when you look up the definition of a word, Google gonna tell you some other shit, but when you look up the Greek definition of a word, it's gonna tell you something totally different that you didn't expect. Like, damn, I didn't know it meant that. I didn't know it meant the devil. I didn't know it meant that. I didn't have no clue that it meant that. Like, you look up the definition of gay. The definition of gay mean being happy, right? That's the definition of being gay, being happy. It really don't even have no thing to do with you being a homosexual, being someone that has a attraction to your same sex. It mean you happy. So if a motherfucker was to call you gay, and this time you take it as an insult, but it really mean you happy. It mean you a happy, free-spirited person. It don't necessarily mean you a homosexual. Right? But it's ways that you can abbreviate it. Right? Because from your psychological understanding, you can look at somebody and know their personality and know who they are. But if you understanding it from a different perspective and they don't have any interests of the same sex, but they just happy people, you can, in a sense, use that word to define who they are as a person, right? But we like I said, we don't study. You have to study, because when you study things and you learn things, you gonna learn what shit really means and what it stands for. A lot of us, we just be blabbering off. We just say shit. Oh, nigga, you, but we don't really know what the shit means. Right? So we just be saying shit because we have overheard another motherfucker say it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you pay attention to some people use words that they don't even really use in everyday lifetime with other people. Some people, when they overhear other people saying words, then they just use it because that's just what everybody else saying. Like, in this day, a lot of the youngsters use the word nigga, right? Oh yeah, what's up nigga, what's up nigga? But you can tell in the tone of their voice that ain't the word that they really use every single day with themselves or with people they know. They just overhearing other motherfuckers saying it, so they feel like they have to say it. But that's not a word that they really use. And the reason why they using the word is because they don't know what the word means. They don't really know what nigga mean. They don't really know what motherfucker mean. Right? Because if you say motherfucker, that could mean you fucking somebody's mama. Right? But if you say a motherfucker in the sense that you identifying a person, right? Motherfucker could mean you identify a person in a good way, or it could mean you identify the person in a bad way. It's just all about your intention and how you use it. You feel me? So some people say words that they don't really say every day because they don't know what the word means. Right? So this is why they use the word all the time, because they don't know what it means. So this is why, like I say, it's very, 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 very important to learn words and what they mean and what they stand for. Because if you don't know, you need to start knowing. Because the shit means something. Take these glasses off. This shit look crooked as a motherfucker. Look crooked. But you need to know what it means before you say it. You need to know what it means. Because like I said, it's a lot of people that use words that they don't even have a understanding for. Like, you have, like the word I just said, understanding, right? You have understanding and then you have understanding. What's the difference between understanding and understanding? Understanding means you gaining knowledge, but only from a sense of what you believe off of what somebody else done told you or what you done read. Understanding is you already knowing the meaning. You know the meaning from your own understanding, from your own intelligence, right? So they got us saying, oh, I understand. But that ain't the correct way. It's I understand. Because if I understand, then that means I know what you're talking about. But if I understand, then that means I'm going off of what you done told me or what I think from what I done heard you say or what I done read. This is what I think, but I don't really know. See, that's how they trick you with these words, right? So this is why you be hearing a lot of people that are quote unquote spiritual. They use the word understanding rather than using the word understanding. And the reason why they use that word is because they know the meaning of the word they used to use before they transition over to using the word that they use now. So that's why they, they use that abbreviation now for them knowing what's going on. Right? So this is why you need to study, like I said, you need to study words. You need to learn what shit is, man. Because a lot of motherfuckers be saying shit that they don't even know what it means. They don't know what it means, but they just saying it. You have to know what something means before you say it. Right? Because if you don't know what it means and you saying it, you just saying all type of shit. You just saying all this type of shit and you don't even know what you're saying. Because a lot of people speak too fast. You ever been around somebody or seen somebody speak too fast and they ain't even calculating what they even saying? They just saying woo, woo, woo. They just speaking real fast and they don't know what they saying. Right? That's because their brain is moving faster than their tongue. Right, so what they trying to do is trying to match the same level of frequency as they brain. So that's why they just saying all type of shit. But they gonna have to find a way to turn that temperature down in their brain so they can start understanding what they trying to say and what they are trying to abbreviate, rather just say it blabbering off some shit. Just certain syllables and shit. You know what I'm saying? Because then, once they just start saying all type of shit and they don't know what they saying, somebody be like, do you know what you just said? Or you know what you're saying? No, what I say. How the fuck do you not know what you just said? The reason why they don't know what they said because they just blabbering the fuck off. They brain moving too fast and they trying to match what the fuck they brain doing. Right? So they need to slow their motherfucking shit down. Then as they slow their shit down, they gonna be able to know what they trying to say. See what I'm saying? See, and that's another thing the colonizers brung over here as well, making us think too fast, making us just say all type of shit without knowing what we trying to say. You gotta calm your mind down. You gotta breathe. You gotta, calculate your shit. Right? This is why you talk about quiet people. They say the quietest one in the room is the most dangerous one in the room. And the most loudest one in the room is the most weakest one in the room. The reason for that is because someone that's quiet, they calculating all the thoughts that's coming into their mind. Most of them may be negative, and only a few may be positive. Right? So before they say something that may be offensive to someone that's in the room, they just gonna keep their mouth shut. Right? And that's what you would call emotional intelligence. Right? Because emotional intelligence is not always about you saying something positive rather than saying something negative. Emotional intelligence can also be you learning to shut your mouth up, quiet yourself, rather than saying something that may offend somebody. That's emotional intelligence. Right? So before you get yourself out your way, you're going to stop yourself. Correct yourself. Like, nah, I ain't going to do that. You're going to leave your shit right at the door. Right? But a lot of us, we don't know how to do that, right? Because we don't have any self-discipline. So we just tend to just go straight at whoever is, in the room, whoever is offending us. We just gonna go straight at them without having self-discipline to be like, okay, let me really listen and digest what this nigga's saying, and let me know the words that he's saying and how he's articulating his words. After I listen to how he articulates his words and how he uses them, then that's when I can have a say so whether I react or not react. But since you hearing a word and the word may be used in society as a negative, you may just go right at the motherfucker like I'm saying. But if you study the word, you may be like, damn, so it can have a different abbreviation. It can have a different abbreviation. Any word can have a different way of how you abbreviate it in your attention, any word. Right? It's just how you use it and the tone of your voice. But a lot of us, like I say, a lot of us don't pay no attention to that, and we don't learn nothing about that. So we just go with whatever is, optional at that time. You know what I'm saying? And this is the shit we need to learn. Put our attention to. Right? This is how you learn psychology. Right? And learn the real true science of psychology. Because, you have a lot of people that are sensitive to a lot of words. A lot of people are sensitive. Right? They're sensitive because they're not in tune with their senses. The self, the brain, the senses. That's why they're sensitive. They're not in tune. Right? So anything you say to them that may sound negative to them, they're going to have a reaction. Because they don't really know what the word really means, but it's abbreviated in society as a negative, so they just, you trying to disrespect me, or you trying to humiliate me. See what I'm saying? So they just go right for the gusto. Without even knowing what that word really even stands for. And these is the things that you have to learn to incorporate into your daily life with people. Because a lot of people go say things because you have a lot of people in this world that are miserable, and they suffer from mental illness, a lot of trauma that they have, you know, gained and acquired over the times or over the past times of their life. So they only know what's common in this society that we live in is to hurt other people, you know, from how they feel. That's why they say hurt people, right? So you have to stop yourself, do your research on somebody, pay attention to them, and then you go from there. I'm just giving you the information that you need, right? So you can understand what's really going on. But this is the information that you need to hear because it's important. You know what I'm saying? Because when you get in to the science of words and how words are and how you can use them, you will understand the power of yourself and how words can be articulated in different shapes and forms, right? Because when you speaking on the senses of like when you talking to your ancestors, right? If you meditating and you talking to your ancestors, the way you talk to them and the way you communicate with them is the way you only know how to communicate with them, right? So a word that you say and how you articulate the word, they gonna understand it because of how you using the word, right? But if you saying a word while trying to connect with your ancestors, but you don't know what the word means, then you ain't gonna make no connection with your ancestors because you don't even know the power of the word that you're using to try to connect with them. Like you be having people out here that saying Ashe, right? Saying that word, but some of them may not even know what the word means, right? Because Ashe is morely like a word you use that say for a divine being that has reincarnated back into this lifetime, right? So you can say if you go back into the life after death, there's no such thing as death, right? So you seeing a familiar face in another lifetime, you, oh, okay, that's woo woo woo. Oh, Ashe. Right? That's you honoring the power of reincarnation, the power of who we are, how we can come back in other lifetimes in different shapes and forms, right? But we still the same person that we was when we went absent in the last time, right? So this is why you saying Ashe, oh Ashe, 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 because you seeing others that have existed, have been existing, but they came back into this lifetime. So you owe Ashe. That's what that really means. That's what that really stands for. Right? But you have people saying Ashe, and they probably using it for the same way you would say, like, oh, what's up? Right? But it don't really mean that. It's a whole different terminology. You know what I'm saying? And you know, this is what it is with that. You know, learning, you gotta learn the words. You gotta learn what words mean before you say it. You gotta learn shit. Even learn spiritual words. You gotta learn it. Because you, like I said, you would have some spiritual people that say they spiritual, but they don't even know what a lot of spiritual words even mean. They don't even know what it means, but they use the spiritual words every day, but they don't know what it means. Right? They use it, but they don't know what it means. Right? Like, it be niggas out here saying, oh, I'm a God, I'm God. But God comes from goddess, right? Because in the word goddess, you see God in there. Right? It's Goddesses, goddess. If you take the S away, the E away, and you just leave God, you got God. Right? But that's on the left hand. Right? Then you got the goddess abbreviation on the right hand. So you take away, like I say, the S and the E, you just put God there, you got God, right? But the definition of God, they would say, would be generator, operator, and destroyer. So generator, meaning you can generate your own information, your own knowledge, and you can operate it. You can teach, right? But then the information that you teach and you operate, the generation of your information in which you operate, it can destroy. Meaning it could destroy what shouldn't be there, or it could destroy a person. It can destroy yourself, depending on how you teaching people. Right? Like you have motherfuckers out here that say they, like I say, spiritual leaders, but the shit that they be saying is spiritual be destroying a lot of people, fucking with a lot of people, like cult leaders and shit. So it's all depending on who you is as what you call God and how you abbreviating your God's shit. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta know shit. You gotta know what the shit mean. You gotta know what you're doing. Because if you don't know what you're doing and how you trying to do it, you gonna be stuck. You're going to be stuck. Because you don't even know what you are trying to attempt to even do with yourself. You don't even know. So, these are the things, like I say, you have to pay attention to. You have to know. You have to realize. With words, language, right? You have to put that understanding in. Okay, what word am I using? What is the word? What is this word? Like, in this day, we call a woman's private part, we call it a pussy. Right? But in the spiritual term, they call it the yoni. Right? But for all these years, we've been calling it a pussy or a coochie. Right? Or the correct term, they would call it a vagina. Right? But in spiritual terms, they call it the yoni. Right? So the yoni gives off a different feeling off the tongue, right? Yoni, yoni, right? So it gives off a different tone, right? And it sounds more feminine the way you say it, right? Now, as for pussy, you just acknowledging a part of the body, but when you say yoni, it's more like you are acknowledging the female as a whole rather than just the specific body part. If you understand how it rolls off the tongue, right? So that's what I'm saying. Got to do your due diligence of these words and learning what these words mean. so you don't get caught up in the bullshit. Every word that I use, I know what it means before I use it, because I don't want to just be saying some shit and I don't know what it means. See what I'm saying? And that's how you have to learn this shit. Because they, like I say, they think we some dumb people. They don't think we know anything. They don't think we catch on to things. So they gonna assume that we just gonna blabber off and say anything that we think is right to say because they don't think we know anything. But nah, we know what's going on. Most of us, not all, but most of us, we know what these words is. Right? So these things you have to put into, your own mind, man. I'm just here to give you the information on it. So you can learn to do your own due diligence with it. Do your own study. Right? Build your own philosophy on it. This is what it is. Alright? Because a lot of the words that we use over here that are acronyms in our community, specifically the black community, they don't use that same shit overseas. In foreign countries, they don't use them words. Why don't they use them words? Because they ain't us and we ain't them. So we using the English language, but it's a certain way we use our language that ain't the same way as the English language they use over there in England. So it's a different way we abbreviate shit. So this is how you know that it's some colonization incorporated into these words that we be using, right? The words that we use on a day-to-day basis, as opposed to the words that they say are the right way to talk. This is how you know. It's just common sense to me. For other people, it may be harder to realize and understand, but it's common sense on my end. It's common sense. Common sense. And a lot of people, like I said, man, a lot of people, they need to pay attention to this shit, man. You need to pay attention to it. Because, like I said, words are energy. Words carry a vibration. If you speak positive, positivity will come into your life. If you speak negative, negativity will come into your life. What you put out is what you're going to get back. You can either bring good karma into your life, or you can either bring bad karma into your life. It's all up to you and what you choosing to do with yourself. Right? Because some of the words that we use for ourselves, a lot of these words are used to make us believe that we are more superior than other people. Like, like people, you get a lot of people be like, oh yeah, I'm better than this person, I'm better than that person, right? You look up the definition of it and then have a positive definition. But the word you should be using is not I'm better. The word you should be using is that I am everything and all is me. So I am. That's a confirmation. That's an affirmation. I am everything. And everything is me. So you starting off with yourself, and then you coming back to yourself with me. I am everything, and everything is me, or I am everything, and all is me. So all meaning the earth, the air, the fire, the water, and spirit. All is you, right? That's what make you great. That's what make you who you are. You don't have to use the word "I'm better than." You don't have to use that word, because what that word can do is make you narcissistic, right? Because the more things that you become good at and the more things that you learn, you may start to believe that you are better than other people, or that you are way more than what someone else can be, right? But you just going off the word and the positivity that the word may carry, right? But if you understand in yourself, you just, I'm all and all is me. I'm supposed to know what I'm supposed to know. I'm supposed to be in tune with my higher self. I'm supposed to be developing. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not supposed to be in competition with nobody. That ain't what I'm here to do. I'm supposed to know myself, right? And those are the things that we overlook, and we don't, you know, pay attention to in the senses of words, right? Because we don't do any research, like I say. So we just tend to, you know, go along about our day, you know, and just say, what we think is right. You know, that's what we do. You know, but yeah, it's just what it is, man. Um, what you should do is study different languages of other cultures. Once you study different languages of other cultures, you're gonna be able to find what's missing, and then you're gonna be able to find out where the colonization came from. Right? Because you can tell, like I say, you can tell a lot about a person and their accent and the language that they use. Right? Like I talked about the Spanish language. Our people wasn't speaking Spanish before. That was brought over by the colonizers. We didn't speak Spanish. Right? This is why you look at certain places over here in America, like Las Vegas, right? That's a Spanish word, right? Lasvegas, right? That's Vegas, right? A Mexican, his name would be Vegas. That's Spanish, right? But we don't know that our colonizers named certain parts of our land after them. So certain parts of our land is named after our colonizers. So this is why you see certain places in America with these certain names and they sound Spanish. That's because it was infiltrated by Spanish colonizers. But the thing about it is the Spanish colonizers wasn't pale-faced Spanish people. They look just like me, right? And this is the things that we don't realize and we don't know. So this is why we get caught up in the whole scam of what's going on, right? Because we don't know. This is shit you gotta look at, shit you gotta study. Right? It's shit you gotta study and learn about. Cause this shit real. This shit is not no game. Like I said, they think we don't know about this shit. They thought we weren't gonna catch on to what a lot of this shit means, but we kept on to most of that shit. Right? But I had to come and teach the ones that may not know what this shit means so you could be able to do your own studies and your own research to find out what's going on and to learn what a lot of this shit means. Because, like one of the elders has said before, the worst thing is knowing how to read, but not knowing what you read and not knowing what it means. That's the worst thing. There's a lot of motherfuckers out here that know how to read, but a lot of them don't even know the definition of the word that they read. They don't know. They don't have no definition of the word that they are reading, but they know how to read. So meaning they know what the word is, right? What they see, but they don't know what the word means. So they just, oh yeah, I know how to read, but do you know what the word means though? Probably, if you don't know what the word means, then you up shit's creek. Because you don't know what it means. You gotta know what it means before you say it, gang. You gotta know. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. I ain't trying to be no professor or tell you this is the right way. I'm just saying you gotta pay attention to what you're saying and how you are saying things. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying. Because, like I say, I see a lot of people saying shit that they don't know nothing about. They don't know the word, they just saying it. Right? Because, like, ology, right? When you use the word ology, that's morally a acronym in a sense for science, right? Ology, psychology, astrology, right? Scientology. That's relating to a science of something, right? So you get people that use the word, oh yeah, I'm an astrologist. I'm I'm a Scientologist, but they don't even know what that means. You gotta know what it means before you use the word. Shit, even your name. You gotta know what your name even means before you start calling yourself something. This is why, our elders talked about your spiritual name or your tribal name. Your tribal name and your spiritual name it's your real name, right? And it means something. As opposed to the name that you was given as a child by your parents, right? But if the word that you was given by your parents as a child don't match with who you are, then that ain't your name, right? Because you always get your mama or your daddy be like, oh, you just like me, or you just, but they only saying that because you they child. But if your personality don't match nothing that has to do with your family or your parents, then that means that ain't your name, right? But they don't know the culture, so they don't know how to give you the name that you was born to have, your spiritual name. They don't know that, so they just gonna tend to call you the name that they gave you, right? This is why you have to do The science of your name is due your origin of your name. The name that you was given by your parents to know what that shit means. It has to represent you. That's why I call myself silent. The reason why I call myself silent is because I move in silence, right? I'm a absorber. I absorb. I don't talk a lot. I don't run my mouth. I listen. I learn. The greatest lesson I ever learned in my life is listening to people that just run their mouth. Because people that run their mouth, they only talking because they don't know what to talk about. That's why they talk a lot, because they don't know what to talk about. Somebody that knows what to talk about ain't gonna talk that much, because there's so much information that they are accumulating in their mind. They trying to make a way to learn how to teach it in a way to where everybody can understand it. Right? As for somebody that don't got nothing to talk about, they just gonna talk about all type of shit. And that's the difference. So this is why I call myself silent. Because I don't talk a lot. I listen, I observe. But I have a lot of information to talk about. But I'm finding a way to put it all together so I can teach it correctly so everybody can understand what I'm saying. Right? So that's using the power of air, thought. Right? That's being a alchemist, right? Understanding the elements and how to use the elements. You know, this is the real on that. You see what I'm saying? So, but yeah, this is the stuff you have to pay attention to and take into accountability, man. Because like I say, these words have power. These words mean something. That's why I talked about Freemasonry. Freemasonry breaks down into free my sons, right? The sons of Isis, right? Sons, one son can be Horus, right? Because Horus is considered the son of truth, right? Because Horus's father is Osiris, right? So you could say Horus, and you could say Anubis, you could say all of her sons, Tahuti, all of her sons. So she talking to more than one son. Anybody that has the blood right over here is one of her sons, right? So that's why it's free my sons, Freemasonry, right? That's what it translates into, free my sons. This is who she's talking to, right? So, you know, because you would get people to be like, oh, Freemasonry is demonic, it's all that. But you don't know what it means. That's why you think it's demonic, because you don't know what the fuck it means. If you knew what it means, you wouldn't be looking at it like that. Because if you from over here is talking to you. But since you don't know what it means, it's demonic, it's the Illuminati. But the illumination is to be enlightened. So, you know what I mean, it's all about your understanding and knowing the words. Right? So this is just all I'm saying on this. Go do your research, go study hard, go learn something. Cause all this shit means something. It's something that needs to be studied and learned, so that you can know what you're saying and know what you're trying to abbreviate, right? So with that being said, about to go ahead and get off here, log off of here. This is Silent. Uh, I'll be back on here with y'all with some more information pretty soon. And that being said, I'm out. Peace.